Oh yeah.
Don't drink it; it's empty. Oh, we're live.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go. A little late. That's right. Getting the show out there. Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna say you could hit record like right when we start if you wanted, but that's fine. All right, what's up, everybody? Bringing on our buddy Vince to talk about weird moments in Cleveland sports here momentarily.
Everybody's favorite.
Getting the show out there. Do you know what actually I think we should start doing is having like a dummy Twitter account where we go live and then we pull it from there when we want to just start the show. Do you know what I mean? So like while we're retweeting and getting the show out there, that's on the other Twitter account, and then we just go live from the reflog one right when Chris is ready to do the live read.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know that I understand.
Hey, do you want to keep this?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Probably not.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, you
following.
could leave it.
As long
Yeah.
as Nick
Why
gets
not?
it, I guess we're cool. But
All right, we are almost ready. There we are. We got like a fly in the Big Play studio. Like a horse fly. That seemed pretty loud.
oh, I didn't see it.
In good health, like he's
Oh, yeah, did you see him?
He's in his prime.
There he is. There he is.
he loves these ones.
Chris, how we doing, sir?
I am ready to go here, Dave.
Boom, boom, boom.
We have so much to chat about.
Yes, we do.
Dave, the Big Play Reflog Show is
Right.
brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is the place to be for all
I'm a
your
res,
gaming
we're
needs.
getting this.
What?
Go ahead.
He's doing his thing.
Are we almost ready?
Are you going for real, Reflog?
I was planning on it.
Okay, you do your thing. Dave can't hear you because he doesn't have time to
Go ahead. We're good. Let's start the show.
We ready? Cue live read in 3, 2, 1. Shack News. The Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is the place to be for all your gaming needs with the latest news, guides, walkthroughs, and reviews. Like this week's featured article, a review of Sonic Frontiers, which places everyone's favorite hedgehog in new wide open world settings. And with the election day tomorrow, be sure to check out this week's Shack Chat, where the team debates their favorite politicians from video games. Remember that you can join in on all the discussions using the Shack News Cortex. So if you're a gamer, Shack News is the site for you. Check them out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the handle @CheckNews and @CheckNews.com.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, The Big Play Reflog Show!
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know damn well. It's time! The Big Play! Reflog Show!
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Happy bye week. We got the full crew here.
It feels like a bye week.
Everybody's here.
It does. It feels like we're having a lock-in or something.
Yes. In quarantine as the book falls. What is going on? My favorite people, Gab Cruz, Nick Padone, Dollar Dog Nick, and Mr. Chris McNeil. Chris, how we doing, man?
We set the show back. about 25 minutes. Time change, right?
Yeah, we didn't change the clocks back this show just by 25 minutes, but it's not about how you start, Chris. It's about how you finish. So
That's exactly right, Nick, and I'm ready to go.
That is right. All right, we've got a great show. We're running late, so we're going to get right into it. We'll kick it off with Power Rank Monday, then on to our featured interview with our buddy Vince, talking about the book. I feel very official holding a book like I'm on a real, real show. Weird moments in Cleveland sports, Bottlegate, bedbugs, and burying the pennant, and more. We will get into this in about 10 minutes. After that, finish up with Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland and call it a show. Let's kick it off with some Power Rank Monday. So, last week, Tim Van Nieuwhouse came on the show, announced Big Play Boxing, which is coming December 16th.
People cannot wait.
Get your tickets. It's going to be incredible in Westlake, Ohio. Just added a new fighter, 19-1-1 out of Mansfield, a kid named Chase. He's going to be the main event.
Dude.
So, full-fledged boxing. We're all going to be there. Come join us. A night to remember in Westlake. So we're going to power rank Cleveland athletes who would make the best boxers.
Now, are these current athletes or are these all-time athletes?
Do you want to?
We go current or former, I think. Right?
I think we go all-time.
Cleveland,
we go current, all-time, anytime.
Yeah, anytime. And if you are a Cleveland athlete, you qualify for this.
Okay.
Current or former. You can't say Stipe. Could we all agree on that, too?
That's fair.
Stipe doesn't count.
Okay. Chris, who are you thinking? Who do you think would be most fun to see in the ring?
I mean, I've got to go Albert Bell.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go Albert Bell.
I mean, I got to go Joey
Like now
Albert Bell.
Albert Bell?
I mean, he'd fight for no reason, let alone if you actually put a squared circle out there. So, yeah, give me Albert Bell.
But, Chris, don't you feel like Albert Bell now? Like, didn't Barstool just do this like a year ago when they had Jose Canseco against an intern? Yeah, it was just really sad. I don't know if your Albert Bell dream is as cool as you want it to be.
See, and this gets to the heart of the question. Are we talking about Albert Bell now? Maybe not so much, but you give me Albert Bell mid-90s.
True.
No one is stepping into that squared circle with him. No one, right? I mean, at that time, maybe Mike Tyson, maybe some of the professional fighters, but outside of that, Albert Bell was crazy. Nobody is going near that ring.
Is it so weird if I just say LeBron, since that's my answer for all of them? But I feel like with all the flack LeBron catches with the flopping and this, that, and the other thing, people forget that he's 6'8", probably 6'9", close to 300 pounds without an ounce of body fat on him.
Do you know who I would absolutely love to see box? Anderson Varejao versus Robin Lopez.
That'd be cool.
Chris, what is
Robin Lopez? Yes,
that'd be cool.
Flip versus flop.
Flip versus flop. Oh,
fantastic.
Man. How about
we've
Delhi?
already got the marketing. Let's go.
How about Delhi?
I could see Delhi being scrappy.
Especially if you throw him in there with another guy that's kind of a little bit nuts like him.
I think James Karinchak would be a good.
Now we've got Vince
Wild
there,
card.
and so I know we're going to talk about this guy at some point. He's got him in the book, but Bill Lambier.
Not plugged in?
Remember Bill Lambier? We mostly remember him as being, an opponent of Cleveland teams, but man, he was here in Cleveland for a short time, and that guy could duel down low with the bad boys, with Cleveland. That'd be a good one in the ring.
Yeah, that would be a good one. All right, Chris, I'm going to change it up on you a little bit. What would you say for current Cleveland Browns? Who would you go with? Browns, current. Garrett, Chubb?
Cleveland Browns. I got to go Miles, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you go Miles Garrett? You look at that guy with his shirt off, and that would scare 90% of your fighters right out of the ring.
I don't even know who you would pair up against him. Would you?
And the walk-up costume.
Yeah,
I mean,
that'd be cool. The showmanship. What about David Njoku?
The entourage he'd bring up. I mean, oh man, that would be the whole thing.
And they're fight fans too. I mean, Myles Garrett's like a big UFC guy, so I feel like he would know how to do it up.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Chris, you kept talking over me, but I think it's because my mic wasn't working.
Oh yeah,
But now I'm here, and I can be heard. And I wanted to say spazzy James Karinchak. I want to see him in the ring. You know how he would just be crazy, and I don't
That'd
know
be
if you guys
nuts.
glossed over it, but this would be a
No.
total show.
Who would go in again on the other side?
Right? That's the question.
John Rocker.
John Rocker. There's a classic. He'd be a good heel. He'd be a real good heel.
Who else is like kind of spazzy like Karinchak, but on any of the other team? Jetty Osman is the only because he's kind of just
Well,
like
we
all
don't
over
want
the
two
place.
Cleveland guys fighting each other, though,
No.
right? What about Kelly Olynyk versus Kevin Love? Bring back
I
that
don't
feud.
know. I don't know. Kevin loves. I wouldn't want to see. I love
Nah,
Kevin.
I don't want to see any elderly abuse.
Yeah.
Kevin would win.
Ouch.
He's not that old, Gab. Come on.
I know, but I mean,
I
Blocked
know.
LeBron last night.
this is
Didn't
true.
you
I'll
see
give you that. I liked that tweet, McNeil.
Yeah. I mean, it was a clean block. Everybody saw it.
I was just trying to shoot for people in their prime.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Who are really,
Karinchak would be fun, especially. I would love to see like his technique because he is so spazzy with how he pitches. Like, what would that even look like? You know, he'd be everywhere. I feel like.
I think that, yeah. Could he
Like,
go? He couldn't
he
go
would-
more than
he would
however
be
many
big in with,
rounds
like, the
because
head.
he would exhaust all his energy, like, right out of the gate.
How have we not mentioned Josh Naylor?
How did we not?
That's the winner.
Josh
Because you
Na-
said no Cleveland versus Cleveland, but
Yeah.
just him versus somebody.
Him versus
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
Josh Naylor reminds me of like a heavyweight, but doesn't quite look like he doesn't have the height, but he's like the heavyweight UFC guy going out there.
Yeah.
But it's not UFC, it's like Bellator.
Dude, that would be fun. Especially like, you know, he would like knock somebody out in the first 10 seconds and then just come unglued and go absolutely nuts.
He just goes out, grabs the kid, and just starts rocking
I
it.
know. Headbutts the ring post, you know, the corner post. It would be crazy.
about-
We have some lunatics in Cleveland sports, that's for sure.
We do.
How about Draymond Green against Kendrick Perkins?
Oh, Perk.
I mean,
Perk
we
out
just
there.
saw Draymond throw that punch at Jordan Poole.
Yeah. But
That
I
was
mean,
pretty
Perk
good.
is a good
That's pretty
looking
good. That's a
punch.
good, pretty good punch.
Yeah.
Perk's got 6 fouls to give every
Yeah.
single morning he wakes up.
I think my money would be on Draymond.
Okay, so
I
once
think
we
he's younger.
once we get through the first boxing event, December 16th, go get your tickets. I think we got to do a celebrity one after that, at least once a year.
Yeah, once a year celebrity, once a year professional. I feel like the professional will definitely outperform from every metric, viewership, revenue, sheer interest.
Yes.
However, I feel like just us being the degenerates that we are, we love to see some celebrities get in there and mix it up.
That's right.
How about we just do like a round robin with ex-Browns quarterbacks?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
There's
and like
an idea.
really like build like a bracket.
Yeah, I want to see Johnny Manziel out there.
Chris, you just do a winner
Tim
goes
Couch.
on.
Tim Couch could take out some people. I mean, if he could fight, you've seen his physique, man.
Yeah.
He is built.
Have you ever
If he
seen
can
those
fight a little bit-
fights where, you know, if one guy wins, then the next
Yeah.
one goes in? You just start with Tim Couch and just see how many quarterbacks he can knock out.
How far through you think you think you could get to like Brady Quinn?
Nick, can you pull up a list of Cleveland Browns quarterbacks real quick?
Ty Detmer down.
I think you gotta like the bigger guys are gonna be the sleepers, right? So like even like the weird
Eric
like
Anderson.
like the Brock Osweilers of the world, who's like 6'6", 6'7", just get in there and start throwing haymakers against a smaller guy like RG3 at this, my fellow Washington Commanders owner RG3, I should
Yeah,
say.
how much of this is your build versus technique?
I feel like when it's
I
people
feel
that,
like there's not going to be much technique.
yeah, I feel like there's not gonna be much technique. I feel like you just go in there and start swinging.
Yeah, but
So-
what about the guys who are light on their feet and who can really move? I mean, I don't know.
that helps.
I think
for
technique.
sure.
I feel like that's could be a big part of it.
All
Well,
right,
it
so let's
should be.
go through this. So
Even
we'll start with Tim Couch, okay?
How far could Tim?
Does
Couch-
Tim Couch beat Kelly Holcomb?
Yes.
Okay, Tim Couch still holds it. Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, he was old.
Pounds Jeff Garcia.
Pound Jeff Garcia. Luke McCowan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both McCown.
Trent Dilfer.
Dilfer
Yes.
Dimes.
There's
That
no
pains
way
me,
he
but-
could fight. He couldn't even play football. Charlie Fry.
I don't know. He's a
Akron legend.
Yeah, Cleveland kid. You know these Cleveland guys all have hands. We were just talking about it with Tim, with Jake Paul. All these dudes from Cleveland are
Tim
good
Couch
fighters.
would destroy Charlie Fry.
All right.
DA.
Agent
Derek
DA.
Anderson.
That would be a good one.
He's got
but Derek
the height.
Anderson wouldn't care that much. I just think
All right.
he'd lose interest. He'd lose interest. I'm giving it to Tim Couch.
All right. Brady Quinn.
I think that's
Brady Quinn is not going to mess up that face.
Yeah,
He's
Brady
got a
Quinn
face
still
for
got
TV.
it. I think he can.
No
Yeah,
way
Brady
he's
Quinn
messing
still
up
got
that
it.
face. He may have the physique, but he's not going to mess up the face. Tim Couch is going to take him down.
All right, we're still going Tim Couch.
Wow.
Colt McCoy.
No.
Tim Couch.
Tim
Colt
Couch.
McCoy.
Important
Poor
one.
guy.
Ken Dorsey.
Oh, Ken Dorsey.
He had that rage a couple weeks ago. Wasn't that him slamming?
Oh yeah, that was
Oh,
him.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we know Ken Dorsey has the.
Here's your sleeper.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm still going Tim Couch over Dorsey.
Yeah, but you guys
Alright.
have to factor in that he would have fought in everybody by this point.
No,
He
it's
wouldn't
all
have been
right.
fresh. This is not how the game is played.
This is
All
like
right.
video games. This is like video games.
Yeah.
He's just advancing.
Yeah.
like Street
Unlimited stamina, Nick.
Okay.
Brandon
Street
Whedon.
That's
Brandon Whedon,
wait.
dude.
stuck
he's
under
a,
the flag.
He's
not
a
making it to the
is Brandon
blue
Whedon?
collar
He's
country
95.
hillbilly out on the farm.
Brandon Whedon is probably 50.
Yeah.
Because what was he? He was
No,
45 when he
50.
played.
No, he
He
wasn't.
turns 40.
Does he really? I was just
Oh
joking.
my goodness.
What about Brian Hoyer?
All right, so Colt McCoy,
Yeah,
Brandon
Hoyer
Whedon,
gets smushed.
Jason
down.
Campbell. I
Ooh,
think
that's a good
Jason
one.
Campbell
That's
might.
a bigger guy,
I think he beats Tim Couch.
especially
I could
this
see
deep.
that.
All right,
And
all right,
remember,
so-
Mary Kay said he was elite. So
yeah.
Jason Campbell, I think consensus he moves on.
All right, he moves on
All
to
right.
2013.
All right,
Phil's
Jason
guy.
Campbell, Brian Hoyer.
No.
Jason
Yeah,
Campbell.
Yeah. Even though my Cleveland kids, Johnny Football, I feel like Johnny's like a bar fight guy,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like
Whoa,
a put the-
you skipped over. Oh no, yeah, okay, but Josh McCown.
No.
Josh McCown, are you kidding? Ivan Drago?
I mean, he looks like him,
Does
but
have
that
a-
doesn't.
But Drago goes down. So
Yeah, if you've ever seen, spoiler alert to those who haven't.
I would
Oh,
go
sorry,
Josh
sorry, should I
McCown.
not have said that?
I would go Josh McCown over Jason Campbell. No, am I getting outvoted
Yeah,
here?
no.
All right, Jason
no.
Campbell's moving on. Chris.
Yeah, Jason Campbell moving
All right,
on.
Jason Campbell moving on. Cody Kessler.
No,
Trust me.
Commander.
trust me on this
Trust
one.
me. RG3.
Oh,
That's a pretty good one.
no.
Right there.
Quick.
I'd give it to RG3. I would.
RG3 was braille and brittle when he was
Yeah.
in
injury
Cleveland.
prone, but
I'm gonna have
why
to
did we gloss
veto.
over Money Manziel? It was-
Because he was bar fights, not gloves.
Yeah.
those are like
Yeah.
usually the
Qualify. He would make it through the drug testing.
Oh, we're doing that?
All right, Deshaun Kaiser.
Okay, actually.
No.
Pretty big guy.
He was a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Jason Campbell's still winning. Okay. Baker Mayfield, scrappy.
Case? Keenum?
Kevin Hogan.
Oh, Kevin Hogan.
Oh, Kevin Hogan.
No.
We forgot Kevin Hogan.
Tyrod
No.
Taylor.
No.
He's got
I
speed.
kind of like the Tyrod Taylor. I like that matchup.
Tyrod
but-
gives you like that kind of like Floyd energy where he's just all over
Yeah.
the place. You can't touch him.
Nick the franchise Mullins.
Dude, I love Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
I was pulling for him so hard in that
Jason
damn
Campbell's beating
Raiders
him.
game. Yeah.
All right, and then we got Jason Campbell against Jacoby Brissett.
Damn it. I don't know. I don't think Jacoby could beat him.
No?
Jason Campbell for the win.
Jason
Campbell.
Campbell.
goes through the ringer. Interesting. This segment took a
Now,
turn.
He's still got a face. He's unlocked the competitor now.
What
Deshaun.
about Deshaun?
Sean steps out.
I don't want Deshaun anywhere near a boxing
He's-
ring. Until that
all-
230
Yes.
million is off the books, let's keep that dude far away. He could come sit at a table at Westlake on December 16th, but he's not stepping anywhere near that ring with no gloves on.
All right. I think Deshaun wins that one.
You think he'd throw in the towel?
Oh.
That's what you grabbed the mic for. All right, it's time to move on because we have our featured interview of the night live in the Labatt Cave. Another in-person interview. It is live. Here we are going into the featured interview of the week. It is Weird Moments in Cleveland Sports by our buddy Vince. Vince, come on in, my friend.
Right here. Put on the cans.
Put something up.
Musical chairs.
There we go.
Here we go.
There we are. Vince, how are you, my friend?
I am outstanding. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing very good.
I am delighted.
So, what do you think of the new studio? We have moved out of the basement. Which do you prefer?
I really love what you've done with the place here.
Why? Thank you. Why? Thank you. And
do we have a microwave that we can cook nuggets?
an
Very
air
good.
fryer, Chris. An air fryer.
Air fryer, perfect. As long as we have a spot for nuggets. That's I think the last time Vince was in studio was
Yes.
me versus
Right
nuggets,
before
right?
right before the world went off its rollers.
Right before COVID. Yeah,
That was like the last event that all of us did, because wasn't that
me versus nuggets.
what was that in March?
That was March of 2020, and then the next day, Chris and I went to Wizard Con, and Chris made friends with Kato Kalin, and
We did.
the rest, as they say, is history.
The last thing I did before COVID was Kato Kalin at WizardCon. That was amazing. Meeting him and
that's
going
what-
around Wizard.
And I said,
And I
"Boy,
can't believe
better
we
not-
didn't get sick from that.
I said,
really
boy, I
can't.
better not die from COVID because if the last thing I do
Kato
before everything
Kalin.
happens is going to a Wizard Con with Chris, I'm going to be annoyed.
Well, looks
And
like
we
you got
had Kato
busy.
Kalin on the show after that.
We
He
did.
said
Yes, you did.
OJ was guilty. That's what Kato said.
OJ
That's right.
actually comes up in the book.
I was
Really?
I was gonna say
What
you
a
were
segue.
productive over COVID, and you
was.
put something really cool together. And we're
But,
excited to showcase. it.
OJ actually comes up in the book because there's a whole chapter on thefts.
Oh.
And we talk about the infamous incident. We were talking about this before the show of Albert Bell's cork bat and the Mission Impossible to try and get that out of the White Sox clubhouse. We talk about when Austin Carr's
So
banner
wait a
got
second. Wait a
stolen.
second. Stop there. You've got to tell the story for those that don't know about the magic that is Jason Grimsley going up into the bowels of Wrigley Field.
No, it was Comiskey. Yeah,
Comiskey.
it was right out of the
Totally.
All-Star break in '94. The Indians were running hot and heavy with the White Sox, and they go to Chicago. And Albert Bell comes up, and Gene Lamont was the manager of the White Sox, and he says, "I think Albert Bell's doctoring his bats." And the umpire says, "Okay, we're going to confiscate this bat, and we'll check it after the game." And they put the bat in the umpire's dressing room. And it was definitely corked because I believe it was Omar Vizquel said later that all of Albert's bats were corked. And the bat is there, and it didn't come out until a few years later that it was Jason Grimsley that did this. But somewhere somebody went into the bowels of Comiskey Park, snuck into the umpire's dressing room, took
Through
the bat out.
ductwork, right? Or in between, like through the drop down
it was. I
ceiling?
guess it was. The clubhouse had these cinder block walls, and then the drop ceiling was on top of the cinder block walls. And Grimsley said that he kind of shimmied along the top of these walls, and he gets down into the umpire's dressing room, takes that bat, replaces it with a very well-worn Paul Sorrento model. This was not the perfect crime because I think the second they picked up the bat, they said this is not the same bat. It was evident that it was not the same bat.
Oh man.
And so obviously, they said, bring us the bat, no questions asked, and we'll handle it from there. And they knew that Albert was dead to rights. And he ended up doing he ended up getting suspended a little bit for that. But the game he comes back actually comes up in the book as well. It was a doubleheader at Fenway Park. And it was, I think Albert came back in the first game, or he came back in the second game. But one of the other games was Jack Morris's last outing with the Cleveland Indians. And I do a whole chapter called, Hey, I Can't Believe That Guy Was Here. And it's about all of these guys that, you think of as accomplished for other teams that for one point or another played in Cleveland. Len Dawson was a quarterback for a hot minute for the Browns. Jack Morris played for the Indians. Walt Frazier ended his career with the Cavs. The infamous Keith Hernandez signing for the Indians.
Oh, yeah.
And, what was really funny is they were looking for, a first baseman who had a little pop in his bat. And the choices came down to Hernandez or this guy who'd been tearing the cover off the ball in Japan, Cecil Fielder. And they ended up hiring Hernandez, and it just worked out great for everybody but the Indians.
So, Vince, back to the Albert Bell cork story for a second. It seems like Mission Impossible almost. Like, did they have a blueprint on how to get back there through the ceiling? How did logistically that go down?
I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds like there was, a general consensus that Albert Bell could theoretically be in big, big trouble.
Yeah.
And they said, and Grimsley says, I can go in there and get the bats. and I don't know if he had, if the schematics were leaked to him by the Impossible Mission Force or whatever, but he ended up being able to figure out how he could roll around in the drop ceiling and end up in the umpire's dressing room.
Huh.
Insane.
Yes, but then the other theft in there was O.J. Simpson's bust was actually stolen from the Football Hall of Fame one day, and this would have been right around '95 when everything was going on with O.J. And now the busts are bolted down in that big room with all the statues.
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the time they weren't, and somebody just walked out with it, and they ended up finding it off of 77 as you're heading into Cleveland on the east side a couple of days later.
On the side of the road?
Yep.
Really?
I think an ODOT mowing or litter pickup crew or something found it.
Wow.
Crazy. Only stuff that would happen in Cleveland or in the Cleveland universe, right?
I mean, when I went into this, I'm going, goofy stuff happens everywhere, I'm sure.
Sure.
But, boy, I don't know if it's something in the water or what, but it really seems like there is an inordinate amount of stupid things that happen.
Yeah, where did you get the inspiration for this? Did you just have a few stories in your back pocket that you were like, oh, these would be good? Or how did you piece together and accumulate all that you put into the book?
Truthfully, Chris helped me crowdsource it. This is probably the first work of serious literature. Well, maybe not that serious. that resulted from Twitter. So
It's
it does.
true. It's true. I'm even in the acknowledgments. Vince put me in there right there at the back, the very first acknowledgement. So thank you, Gab, for bringing that up.
Yeah. And it's, we were talking about all these goofy things that happen. And every time I bring up the book, the same thing happens. Somebody asks, well, is this in there? Is that in there? In fact, you said, hey, Vince is going to be on the show talking about this book. And Brian Shaw, the journalist, not the pitcher, says, you have the staph infections in there.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes, we do. And that's the same thing. Hey, what about the time that and then of course every August 24th on if you're watching the Guardians game, they'll say today in 1919, Ray Caldwell was struck by lightning at League Park. And then he got up and finished the game. So, there are all of these anecdotes that are out there. It's like the line from Heat. All of this is out there. You just have to be able to reach out and grab it.
Yeah.
So, Vince, you've been in the field for quite some time. Was there any stories going into this book, whether that was from Twitter or your own research, that you didn't know about?
I wouldn't say there was a lot that I didn't know about. There are a lot of things that I didn't realize or I had seen at the time and then had no recollection of it afterwards. Because, you could have took money off me with this one. Do you know who the winning pitcher was that Sunday night ESPN game where the Indians came back against the Mariners in 2001? You know who got the win?
No.
No.
A recent acquisition by the team, closer John Rocker.
Oh,
We were just talking about John
Right?
Rocker.
So, you learn stuff like that and you go,
Wow.
well, I had completely forgotten that this happened. Or in some instances, I had completely blocked out that this had happened.
Yes.
Because, writing this was equal parts hilarious and traumatic.
we're coming up on the Thanksgiving season here, and one of my favorite episodes of WKRP in Cincinnati is the turkey incident, right?
As
Where
God
they
is
throw the
my
turkeys
witness,
out of
I thought turkeys
the
could fly.
helicopter, and he swears that turkeys could fly. It kind of reminds me of Ted Stepien, and he had an idea with softballs off the terminal tower, if I believe that correctly. Is that right?
Well, yes, and it's funny because in the They had done stuff like this all the time. Like at one point in Washington, they dropped balls off the Washington Monument, and then in the 30s, they had dropped balls off the Terminal Tower, and I believe it was Frank Pitlack, who's like a second-string catcher for the Indians, actually caught one of them. And in 1980, the Terminal Tower was celebrating its 50th anniversary, and they said, we want to do this again. And they go to the Indians, and they say, do you want to do this? And they said, hell no. And then Ted Stepien says, yes, I want to do this. Because he owned the Cavs, but he also owned a professional slow-pitch softball team, the Competitors. And so he went up to the top of the Terminal Tower, and he had a couple of his guys down on the ground, and they were doing this at the lunch hour one weekday. And he started throwing softballs off the top of the tower. And the first one hit the street and bounced 10 feet in the air, and then the second one dented the roof of somebody's car, and then another one actually broke a woman's arm because she was looking up like this, and it came down and it hit her and it broke her arm. And then eventually they caught one, thank God, and that was kind of the end of that. Although I feel like in the long list of things that Ted Stepien did, I mean that's just one of them.
Right. That's kind of low on the list. I mean, there's rules that were created because of that man.
Yes, there are. That's he was hilariously inept as an owner. He was even quicker on the trigger than Jimmy Haslam was when it came to firing coaches. He hired and fired, I believe, 3 different coaches in the span of a calendar year.
That's amazing.
And it started with him
by our standards. That's
right.
amazing.
And one of the coaches that he hired very briefly and then fired was this assistant from the Philadelphia 76ers named Chuck Daly. And Daly's next job, of course, was at the Pistons, and he won a couple of titles with them.
And a gold medal.
And, well, yes. And but Stepien, loved making trades. He loved trading players. He loved trading away draft picks, not just for players, but for not great players. And the rule you were talking about, it is now, and at one point his trades were so bad that the league had to step in and say, you don't make any deals without league approval.
Could you imagine that these days?
I mean, it was a vastly different time at that point. I mean, I think in the NFL, Pete Rozelle was still a commissioner, and I think he still granted draft picks for free agency signings. Actually, I believe that you could get somebody in return in the NBA for a free agency signing. That's actually how Walt Frazier ended up in Cleveland.
Okay.
But Stepien kept making these deals, and I think it was Dick Motta from Dallas who said, I was afraid to get up from my desk and go to the John because I was afraid the Cavs I'd miss a call from the Cavs. And but he ended up trading away so many draft picks that the NBA instituted a rule that says you can't trade first-round picks in back-to-back years, and they call it the Stepien rule. So he sells to the Gunn brothers, and the Gunn brothers, I mean, the team was hamstrung. They had no first-round picks for the next 4 years. And the Gunn brothers actually had to buy back draft picks from the league so they could actually participate in the NBA draft.
Wow. And not to backtrack here, but going back to our gauntlet of Browns quarterbacks, our Twitter comments have not been working for quite some time, but Bernie Kosar texted of the Bernie Kosar Show. Go check that out every Monday, one of the greatest shows on the internet. And he says, Couch would win for sure. So we were wrong, Chris. We were wrong. Couch goes through the gauntlet.
Wow, even against Campbell, too.
Even against Campbell, yep.
Okay.
Had to throw that in there.
Vince, any thoughts on that? Do you agree with that?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that
we are.
The one thing,
science here.
Yes,
Vince.
yes. I think that the one thing that Tim Couch demonstrated, and it would be very important for a boxer, is how well he can take a hit.
Hey-oh, there you go.
Vince, I know a little bit before the show, we were talking through some recent memories. One of my favorite was Jermaine Whitehead at his locker on social media, fighting with the media members in Denver, and it was cut shortly after. Is that one of your favorite? It's one of my favorite of recent times, but was that one of the funniest current to go through?
I mean, and the thing that amazes me is how quickly this all happened. Because, I mean, he was... we all remember the one play where he waved at the guy who ended up running and scoring a touchdown for the Broncos. And, you know, this all happened so quickly because, I mean, and Dustin Fox was watching the game and said that was a terrible attempt at tackling.
Right.
And I feel like that was the kind of, you know, that was a fairly objective, non-controversial statement. And then Jermaine Whitehead thought that was a controversial statement and responded with a statement that was even more controversial. I mean, you know, he threatened to do Dustin bodily harm and any other fan who was of like mind. And I believe he was briefly actually banned from Twitter for making threats, like just a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he is just not the least bit chastened.
He transferred over. I remember this like it was yesterday. He transferred over to his Instagram. So he got banned on Twitter and he immediately hopped on the Instagram and just started going to war in those comments. Fun stuff.
It's why Al Gore invented the internet.
Are there any other current ones that come to mind? I know that's a big one. That's definitely one of my personal favorites. I feel like there's a lot from the 2019 Browns with the clown shoes and the Rolexes, but
there are just so many to pick from. I mean, obviously the 2019 Browns. I think the biggest, you know, examples are the adventures of Freddie Kitchens and you know, you want to talk about athletes involved in fisticuffs. I'd put my money on Myles Garrett if he could wear a helmet on each hand.
Wow, with the one-liners tonight.
I know, geez. Vince woke up feeling dangerous, if I may.
I've been working on my material.
So one of the things that, you know, we've talked about on the show was back in the day that George Steinbrenner wanted to buy the Indians. Now, one of the things that you brought up in the book that not only did George Steinbrenner look at buying the Indians at one point, so did one Donald Trump. You want to tell us a little bit more about Trump trying to buy the Indians?
Donald Trump wanted to buy, yep, there it is, the Donald and the tribe. Donald Trump wanted to buy a Major League Baseball team, and he was not indiscriminate about it. In the early 80s, he at least kicked the tires on the Mets. That was his hometown team. You know, I think he actually put in an offer to buy the Twins, but, you know, he expressed some interest in buying the Indians in the early 80s while Steve O'Neill owned the team. And I can't express this enough, but the Indians from like the late 50s until the Jacobs bought the team, I mean, they were hanging on by their fingernails. It seemed like every couple of years or so there was a fresh rumor that they were moving somewhere. They had a legitimately hard time filling the stands and keeping the lights on.
They should have made a movie about that.
Right. There's a story in here about Frank Robinson getting in a fight with a pitcher in an exhibition game against the Indians' AAA affiliate, at the time the Toledo Mud Hens. And the reason that the Indians were playing the Mud Hens is they had to make a payment to this affiliate or go play an exhibition, and they didn't have enough money to make the payment. So everybody got on a bus and went to Toledo and played the Mud Hens. But anyway, the team was...
Is that what it was?
What?
So basically you generate the gate?
Yes.
Wow.
That is exactly what it is. And what happened is in the early 80s, you know, Donald Trump said, "Hey, I'm interested in buying the Indians." And there were two big problems with this purchase attempt. First of all, Donald Trump had gambling interests. He owned, I think he owned one of the casinos in Atlantic City, even at the time. And also, you know, he said the Indians need a new stadium, but he was not willing to commit to keeping the team in Cleveland. So they really were not anxious to sell to him. And then Steve O'Neill died, and he said, I'm going to make you another offer to try and buy the team. And again, nothing really ever came of it. But I thought it was great. Tony Grossi, I don't know if he was covering the Indians at the time. I know he was covering the Indians when Len Barker threw his perfect game. But Tony Grossi wrote a feature about Donald Trump and his efforts to buy the Indians. And I think this is the funniest thing he ever wrote. He said, Donald Trump seems like the kind of person who wakes up in the morning, realizes that 1 billion Chinese people don't know who he is, and is very concerned about that.
That's a great line.
It is. And it has been borne out to be true.
Yeah.
And so Trump ended up buying into the USFL, and that is another story for another time. Jeff Pearlman wrote a book called Football for a Buck about that whole odyssey, and I highly recommend it if you have not read it. And then he went and stole Brian Sipe away from Art Modell.
It's amazing. It all comes back to Cleveland, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It's all rotational. It's amazing.
Time's a flat circle.
So Vince, are we gonna have a second edition of this book? Because you've got to already be thinking about stories that you didn't put into this one, stories that are coming out right now that continue to evolve in Cleveland sports. There's got to be at least enough material to fill another volume.
I mean, it really is the gift that keeps on giving.
Right?
But I don't know. I mean, I got enough things in the hopper that I am willing to, because what happens when you write, when you take on a project of this size, regardless of the topic, first of all, you have to be really, really interested and really, really love the topic to write a 60,000 page book or a 60,000 word book. Let's not get too far.
60,000 page.
No, that's more even than I think I'm capable of. But 60,000 words. I mean, you have to, really want to pursue this project, and then when you're done, you want to be done with it for a little while at least. I mean, it's one of those things, and I have this problem as a writer in general. I mean, there are things like every 6 months I will go back and revisit something I wrote, and I went, wow, this is terrible. And there are a lot of things that I have written that for whatever reason I just don't want to look at again. So I'm not going to say I'm never going to do a sequel on this, but I'm certainly not going to do it like right now. How's that?
That's every artist's input.
Vince,
enough material to accumulate, so it'll probably take at least 6 months for that to happen.
Right? Yeah. We'll see what the Browns do in the off season.
I found what I was looking for.
What's that?
Special delivery for Chris Perez.
Oh my God.
oh man.
On a
Cody Braum.
on a serious note, it just astonishes me how many of these stories that involve, players running afoul of the law involve weed. And that really, and on the one hand, that seems kind of quaint now. I mean, given that, you can get a contact buzz by going outside sometimes. But on the other hand, you think of how many people got in more trouble than they probably deserve to get in because of marijuana. But I mean, I'm not going to say that Chris Perez did not deserve the trouble he got in. I'm not going to say that Chris Perez did deserve the trouble he got in, but it really was an absurd set of circumstances.
Vince, kind of bringing us full circle back to this book. Where can everybody get it? When's it come out? Everybody loves themselves some weird Cleveland sports stories. So where could they pick this up? And more importantly, where could they tweet at you the stories that you missed and the bizarre things that come through people's mind on Twitter?
I am at Vince Guerrieri, and the book is published by Grand Company Publishers. It is available through them, grayco.com. It is also available, and if it's not yet, it will soon be available at most of the usual suspects. I got some book signings I'm getting lined up at various Barnes & Nobles. I'm going to be at the Baseball Heritage Museum at League Park this Saturday, giving a talk and signing some books. I'm going to be at Visible Voice next month. So, it's not, hopefully it's not going to be that hard to find, and hopefully it'll make a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christmas season.
Yeah.
These are great stocking stuffers right here. I've already bought several myself. And oh, by the way, Vince, My mom, who's an avid reader, read this book, and not only did she say it was great for all the information, but she also praised your writing and said you made it so much more even interesting. Even though she was already interested in the material, you just brought it to the next level. So high praise from my mom, McGrandma, on Twitter.
You think I do this for a living?
There you go.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your talents. I'm
And
excited.
humble, too.
Good stuff, Vince. Nick's pressing buttons.
Trying to get a round of applause.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Vince Good. And Vince is also, for those of you who don't know, he is the guy behind the guy for the 0-16 parade. Vince is the one
That
who
comes up in the
encouraged me.
acknowledgments, too. I believe my exact words were I talked Chris into a parade and he talked me into a book, so I think we're even.
If it wasn't for you giving me the paperwork and saying it was only this one application and $25 and you can have a parade in the city of Cleveland, I would never have done it.
And honest
Vince
to God, I got a text from Chris, and he says, so I heard from the city of Cleveland, and I figured he's going to tell me. They said, we all had a really good laugh at the office, and we're sending you back your $25. And they said, we'd like to meet with you and form a plan on security and sanitation.
I was like, what did you get me into, Vince? What
And,
did I
that's,
do?
and I said the same thing. I said, oh, God, what did I get this guy into?
Well, Vince, Bernie says if you need any THC, there's a bottle right back there that he left when he was here in the studio today. So
I will. I appreciate the offer.
Vince, good stuff. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
I assure you, it was my pleasure.
Thanks, Vince.
All right, we are moving on to our Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. Let's keep it going. All right, TSE Cleveland, go check them out. Go get some signed Browns merchandise. We have given away a ton of giveaways with them, including that Nick Chubb signed jersey last week. Look out for some new ones. Let us know who you want to have as the next giveaway. All right, it is time for some Cleveland
I
headlines.
kind of like this, Dave. Look at
What?
this. Kind of like McAfee style. I'm standing right now.
You're standing,
Yeah,
really?
I'm standing.
Yeah, I mean, you could adjust those puppies right there.
Yeah. So this is kind of like
You're both going standing.
it would be cool. Yeah, when we
You can stand. Go
yeah,
for
we'll
it.
make a mental note.
I want to
of-
see if you guys can figure it out.
All right. All right. Cleveland headlines.
Cleveland headlines, midpoint of the season. Let's look ahead to the second half. How many games do the Browns win out in these last 9? And Nick, we were talking about this before the show started this week. I can't believe we only have 3 more Jacoby games.
I know, and I can't believe also you look at this schedule, not a whole lot of home games left either. I mean, you have you welcome the GOAT to town, Tampa Bay on the 27th, then Christmas Eve, New Orleans Saints are in town, and then a primetime game against Baltimore with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, and that about wraps up the home schedule, guys. So only 3 home games left.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
That hadn't occurred to me.
Yep. Yeah, they played a lot of home games, and for Jacoby Brissett, you know, I think, and Bernie said it great on his show, had you told me going into week 9, that Jacoby Brissett would have done what he has done and
He's
kept
been
the season
phenomenal.
afloat. And he's thrown some interceptions, but he's also thrown some sweet touchdown passes, and he's showed off a better arm than I ever could have imagined. I totally 100% would have signed up for that. And I'll give Andrew Berry a lot of props on that, Dave, because I was one of the people that thought it would have at least been feasible to explore a Jimmy Garoppolo, would have at least been feasible to explore keeping a restructured Baker Mayfield in town, you know, to hold over those couple games before Deshaun Watson took over. So I really am, you know, I guess I'm saying I'm eating my words that Andrew Berry really proved to me that just riding with Jacoby was the right thing to do. And this season, we've seen it across the league. Geno Smith is balling in Seattle, and it's kind of like a resurgence for a lot of these guys. So hats off to Jacoby. He's done a nice job.
And to his credit, he's been a really good leader. I think
Yeah.
not everybody's able to do that, and it sounds like from the jump, everybody has rallied behind him, and you can see in his behavior and his mannerisms and when they have the camera on him and how he's interacting with all the guys. I think that's kind of a nice intangible that he brings.
Yeah, he's one of the most popular guys. Let me ask you guys this. What do you think about this before we keep moving through some of the headlines? One last quick thing on Jacoby. Do you think it's feasible that he could be a long-term backup to Deshaun? I mean, he's an adult.
Oh, absolutely.
He's mature. He could make all the throws, but is he too good, to sign a 2-3 year deal as a backup?
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to go out. I mean, he's looked really good, but I think you look at the big time decisions in the games. Go win the game for us. You need that out of a starting quarterback. I don't think he quite has it, but he's got to be one of the best backups in the entire NFL.
Yeah, I hope.
And I think that'll be his role.
Yeah, I would love to keep him in Cleveland. I think he complements Watson really nice, especially, we talked about it at the time. Similar skill set, not identical, but he does a lot of the same things, and I think they could really help each other. I think it would be cool.
Okay, are we done with the bouquets here on throwing these? I mean, okay, fine. He's great. He's done a good job. I'm with you. Now let's get down to business. Of these last games, how many are the Browns going to win?
All right, let's run it down.
All right. Adjusted schedule.
All right, adjusted schedule. So we're going to Miami. Tua looks pretty good.
They're 6-3.
I think we can win that game.
Tyreek, Waddle.
You think we can win that game?
I think we can win that game.
I think they can win that
an
game.
L on that one.
All right, you're giving it an L. Okay, fine. At Buffalo,
There's an
Josh Allen.
Is it
not
Josh Allen?
playing.
It could be Case
I
Keenum.
do not think Josh Allen's going to be playing in that game. That's only 2 weeks away.
Labats are going to be flowing in upstate New York. I'll tell you what.
Yes, I can't wait.
I think that's a win. Without Josh Allen, that's a win for the Browns.
Yep. Tom Brady finally looked like Tom Brady on a game-winning drive this past week.
I love how you say, yeah. Well, he didn't look great on the potential game-winning drive right before that. He got the ball back, and then he looked like Tom Brady after that.
Yeah.
He looks pretty human right now.
All right, so out of those three, we have at least one win, correct?
I'd take the Tampa Bay game. That's at home, and I'm not scared of Tom Brady right now.
Of those three, I think you're getting one, but I really think you're getting two, guys. I think you find a way to win
Absolutely
two.
crazy.
I think you need to.
How much of Bernie stuff you drinking there?
I really think you need two of those games.
I mean, if you think about it, the games that the Browns have lost, and we beat this horse until it was dead and not moving. The Jets game, the Falcons game, these were all one-score games. So you find a way to finish the job on one of those against a Miami or a Tampa, and then just win the other one outright like what we saw in Cincinnati. I don't think it's that far off. I don't know why. I'm feeling really good about where the Browns are at because of that Josh Allen injury. Only 3 more games without Deshaun. I think having him in the building is going to be a big deal, that the team's going to be getting ready to go, have him at quarterback.
Yep.
I'm believing that this thing could be alive by the time they hand the reins to him against Houston.
So before the season
doesn't look nearly as bad either.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't.
Hanford was saying that today. They're a way
They're
better
really
team than
good.
anyone said, and he was definitely the only person saying that.
They're definitely one of those. They're one of those teams, though. They're winning in spite of their quarterback.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson's not very good.
No, I would agree with that. Going into the season, knowing that Deshaun was suspended, when we looked at where do we need to be when he comes back, I don't think we're that far off from that.
We said either 6 or 5 or 5 and 6.
I said if we were 5 and 6, I'd be very, very happy with that.
We're 2 wins away.
2 wins away out of 3. Got to get 2 of 3.
Come on, Dave.
Gotta
Got to
get
get 2 or 3.
It's
Got
not
to.
happening, guys. It's not happening.
What Chris is
Chris,
just buried.
Did
this.
you watch the Bengals game?
I did. The Bengals looked good.
Well, no. The Bengals when we played them.
No, I'm saying we looked really good against the Bengals, and
Yes.
the Bengals looked really good. So that by transitive property also makes that win look even better than what it was.
Right?
And so
Yeah.
dominated
Why can't we do that
everything else.
again?
Well, this is my Cleveland thinking, though. Now I think the opposite. Now I think the Browns are going to go out. They've got an extra week to prepare. So now we're going to throw an extra big egg on this one. And we're going to look horrible.
You're not setting yourself up to be hurt again. Come on, Chris. It's
That's
time.
right. I'm going in with low-ass
Chris,
expectations on this one.
Okay, I'll give you this because this Miami game, it's going to happen this weekend, and we're going to give our predictions for it like that. Will you buy back in, though, if the Browns look good against Miami? Say they beat Miami in a similar fashion that they beat Cincinnati and not roll over them like that, but win in and
I'm
win
already
convincingly.
all the way back in
Me
after
too.
one win.
Me
You
too.
guys
So-
really are. You think that they have this
buy
Miami
back
game
in.
in the
I'll buy
bag.
back in by Sunday morning. There's no doubt.
All
about
right,
it.
let's go.
I mean, come on, that happens every week. But I'm telling you right now, Monday of this week, I am very, very pessimistic on the Cleveland Browns.
All right,
right.
that's fair. That's fair. Gab,
Not
where
me.
are you at?
Well, honestly, once when we were shooting the Bernie show today and we were breaking down the plays with Tyreek Hill and
Jalen Waddle. Yeah.
I mean, it's concerning with if
It's concerned now.
I mean, we got to have our stuff together to cover those fast guys like that. And then also, I think the Dolphins are 6-1 when Tua starts. So if he's starting again, I'm just saying that I don't know that it's an easy in the bag. Like,
It's not easy in the bag.
No Cleveland Browns
right.
game is easy
Even-
in the
you
bag.
guys are really excited though. You're like, we're gonna get that one and we're gonna get that one. And I kind of actually, even though I'm the optimist, I kind of appreciate McNeil coming in as a realist here a little bit. Not, I mean,
you,
some
Gab. I
of your
appreciate it.
mental illness is showing because we all have it being Cleveland fans. being
Also, thank you, Gab.
that's just a toxic cycle playing out when you say I'm afraid to be hopeful.
That's fair.
But there's some validity to it too, because what an anomaly that Bengals game was. I don't really even know. I agree. There's a way that I'm not really sure how to process that, because it was amazing, and then it was like, is that going to happen again? So.
But what if it does?
But what if it does?
Guys,
And
just
there we
keep
go.
getting your hopes up. Just keep getting your hopes
My
up.
hopes
I
are
will
up, Chris.
always get my hopes up.
Yeah.
I know.
The
I know.
Dolphins. The Dolphins.
0-16, I had my hopes up every single game.
The Dolphins defense added Bradley Chubb, and they still got run on for over 200 yards almost on Sunday. Nick Chubb, if Kevin Stefanski deploys him the right way, should have an absolute field day on Sunday.
All right, so let's look at some
And
bets.
against Buffalo, potentially, too.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's go beat the Dolphins like me and Nick know we're going to.
Yep.
And then we'll move on to the Josh Allen-less Buffalo Bills.
Case Keenum.
All right, let's look at some bets here. Browns-Dolphins bets here. Over under 49.
Over. I think that's a high point total, but these two teams not known for good defense, and both are top 10 offenses right now. Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel, everybody was crapping on that guy because he was like such a nerd, and he was like giving those uncomfortable press conferences. And he reminded you of that guy from the Jets that his eyes were going all crazy. I'm blanking on that guy's name.
Adam Gase.
Adam Gase.
Gase.
Mike McDaniel reminded me of Adam Gase so much, but it actually seems like on the flip side, he might actually be a genius.
Adam Gase.
No, Mike McDaniel. The Dolphins head coach is really good, so they're good. They're a good offense. Cleveland's a good offense. I like the over.
That team is definitely rallied around him. I think he has that locker
which
room.
is so weird.
It is kind of weird. Yeah, he seems like a weird guy, but that's all right. Yeah, I mean, Miami's average 23.7, allows 24.9. Dolphins scored at least 31 points in 2 straight games. They are rolling.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, Gab was saying it earlier, leads the league in the entire NFL in receptions. Waddle's 5th. They're beating all of our receivers. We could have some trouble there. But Ward, I think, Nick, he's coming back, right?
Yeah, so Denzel Ward, it was interesting wording today from Kevin Stefanski, which I think everyone in Cleveland knows at this point that he's become a master at that. He's halfway through the concussion protocol, it seems. He was on the field today doing some things with the team. He was limited in practice, but just being able to clear that initial part and take the field, I think, is a huge step towards Denzel Ward playing. Also, you look up and down that injury report, Wyatt Teller said that he's going to give it a go. David Njoku said that he's going to give it a go. So not only will you have your original secondary of Ward and Newsome against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but you'll also have some big time guys on offense too.
That is true. Okay, so Browns are 4-point underdogs. Gut feeling.
That's a weird spread. I'm going to say it. If Vegas had faith in the Dolphins, it would be much more larger than a 4-point spread. It would be a 5.5. So Vegas, the odds makers, they don't really have all the confidence in the world in the Dolphins. And also they don't know what the hell the Browns are going to give them. So that's why it's 4, because they're like, it could go any way.
And by the way, did you see Miami's defense against Justin Fields?
That's what I'm saying.
He
dude.
ran all over them.
Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt on the field at the same time. I know the guys that do the math on Twitter and the spreadsheets are going to be yelling at me. it's the recipe to winning, especially against a bad defense like what they have going on in Miami right now. They added Bradley Chubb, and that still happened.
Gab and Chris, over under Nick Chubb rushing yards 100.
Oh, he's going to
Over.
go over. I think.
It's got to be to get the win.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see, and I'm also going to take the over on the points. I think we're going to see a lot of empty calories. We're going to see some like cheap touchdowns. I just think we're going to see some offense and not a whole lot of defense out of both teams. It's just a gut feel in this game. Kind of later on in the season, maybe a little laziness on defense. The scores start to get a little bit swelled, and I could see that one kind of playing out in this game.
It feels like that's what happens when the Browns play the Dolphins. When you think back to that 2019 Freddie Kitchens year, like we were just talking about with Vince, that's when the offense kind of looked like it was normal, and it was like, okay, maybe Freddie and Baker have something going. Odell scored a touchdown. I think Jarvis scored a touchdown too. They were buzzing offensively. That's kind of the theme when Miami plays Cleveland.
Yeah,
Empty
all right.
calories. Empty calories.
Empty calories.
All right, let's move on to the Cavs. Fans online are already saying that this is their favorite Cavs team ever.
That's because we're all young.
No, Chris, you know what though? I almost tweeted something along those lines out. Like, this might be the most fun Cavs team ever. Then I'm like, what am I talking about? Let's delete that tweet.
2016 was the most fun,
Yeah.
but it was also stressful. So I'll give people this. The Cavs are extra fun right now because we knew that they were going to be good, but to be the second best team in the NBA, we didn't know that they were going to be there yet. So when you had LeBron, when you had Kyrie, when you had Kevin Love, there was so much added unnecessary pressure to be championship or bust every year, championship or bust every year. You have these superstars in their primes. Now it's a little bit different because you have DG for 5 years. You have Mitchell for at least 3.
Right.
You have Mobley and Allen for 4 more. So it's like, this is really fun, but it's not as stressful as it was in 2015.
That's a good point.
18.
Yeah.
You know
like
what's
that.
a lot of fun, though?
What's that?
Championship parade. Those are a lot of fun. And we had one of those in 2016, so I'll take that. But the other thing, though, that this team does have, and LeBron even alluded to it after playing the Cavs, is you've got a team that doesn't jump onto social media, doesn't get involved in a lot of unnecessary drama. And I don't know whether that was LeBron projecting over the teams that he had, back in the day in Cleveland, some of the stuff going back and forth between him and Kevin Love and some of the other guys on that
was
team.
Was that like a subtweet? Did he say that?
Hey,
No,
all of these players are fitting in, not fitting
Not
out.
fitting out?
Oh, yeah. And he said it in the presser yesterday. He kind of alluded to that. And he's right. It is so much fun to watch a team that just plays well on the court. You don't hear a lot of BS afterwards. You just get to tune in and enjoy them. So it's not going to be my favorite team ever.
Where's it rank for you, Chris? We grew up and we watched
10
the
games
Mark
in,
Price.
mind
Yeah, we're
Right, 10 games in. I'm still going to put them right now because of the fact it's such a limited set. I would say it's behind those Cavs teams. I mean, I loved Price, Elo, Doherty, Nance. I mean,
it's right
Steve
below
Kerr,
that,
enough.
but it's above Fat Sean Kemp.
That's right. Hey, well, and the thing is, you also knew the ceiling really on those 90s teams for the Cavs because you knew there was a guy in the league by the name of Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And the chances of beating him were pretty slim. And we put up the fight and we had the shot and we had some good runs at it, but it never quite happened. Whereas you get the feeling with this team, you never know what's going to develop. I mean, they're all so young. This isn't a team that's even close to like a finished product like that 90s team was. So, the sky's the limit, and it's a little cliche, but hey, I'm here for the ride, Dave. This is what we need this winter.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we need it. That and big play boxing. 2 things that are going to get us through this
December
winter.
16th. Let's go. Nick, go ahead and take us out since I'm not really on camera.
So much for watching another episode of the Big Play Reflog Show. As always, huge thanks to Labatt. Go pick up some Labatt. Go pick up some Labatt seltzers wherever you get your adult beverages. Also, go check out Shaq News, shacknews.com, the best video game content online. Follow TSE Cleveland. Subscribe to the Big Play Reflog YouTube channel. We're giving away a ton of signed Browns merch. Huge thanks to Vince stopping in studio, plugging his new book. We'll see you guys next week. Big Play Reflog. See you then. Peace.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflex Show.